You work hard, you dream big, you sacrifice sleep, chase goals, and tell yourself that one day the world will reward your effort. Yet, every year, someone with less talent, less strength, and less honesty rises above you. They build empires while you struggle to survive. You blame luck, timing, or corruption. But the truth is simpler and far colder. They understand the game you refuse to play. They understand Machiavelli's code, that wealth is not earned by virtue, but by strategy. The world does not care who deserves success. It only cares who controls it. You were taught to work with integrity, to stay humble, to play fair. They were taught to win. And they win because they know something you don't. Money obeys manipulation, not morality. Power bows to perception, not purity. While you wait to be rewarded for effort, they create the illusion of power and let the world pay them for it. Machiavelli once said that men who wish to be good in all things are destined to perish among the many who are not. In this new world, his words echo louder than ever. Business is war, wealth is politics, and morality is a costume worn by those too afraid to see the truth. You keep fighting with honesty, they fight with calculation. You follow rules, they rewrite them. And that is why they build empires while you struggle. Today, I will not give you comfort. I will give you clarity. You are not losing because you are weak. You are losing because you are still playing by the old codes, the codes of fairness, emotion, and patience. The rich do not play that game. They move with precision, they manipulate appearance, and they understand the one law that governs every empire ever built. Those who control perception control profit. This is the world Machiavelli saw centuries ago. A world where the cunning rule the diligent, where illusion builds wealth faster than effort, and where success belongs not to the righteous, but to the ruthless thinker. If you wish to rise, you must stop chasing fairness and start mastering control. Because the truth is not what makes money move, power does. The world is not kind to those who wait for fairness. It rewards those who act with precision. Wealth does not fall into the hands of the most passionate, honest, or hardworking. It goes to the ones who can see 10 steps ahead. The poor dream of success, the powerful planet. The dreamer hopes time will bring opportunity, but the strategist bends time to his will. He studies the system, learns its flaws, and positions himself where fortune must eventually arrive. In every age, from kings to merchants to modern billionaires, the rule remains the same. It is not the strength of effort that builds empires, but the strategy behind it. The common man believes work is sacred. He ties his value to his labor and takes pride in struggle. But struggle alone has never created power. The empire builder understands that every hour of work must buy him leverage, either through people, systems, or influence. He knows the difference between effort and efficiency. The poor trade time for money, the powerful trade ideas for wealth. One sells his labor, the other sells direction. The strategist never asks how hard he can work, but how far he can make others work for him. Fortune, like war, is ruled by those who understand positioning. The clever man chooses his battles wisely. He does not chase every opportunity. He creates situations where opportunity must chase him. He builds networks, places allies in the right corners, and studies human behavior like a science. When others act on emotion, he waits for patterns to form. When others rush toward profit, he calculates risk and timing. The dreamer may move faster, but the strategist moves smarter. And in the end, the first to move is not the winner, the last to fall is. Machiavelli understood that success favors those who are disciplined in thought, not in hope. He observed that most men act impulsively, driven by desire, fear, or pride. The rare few who rise above them do so by mastering calculation. They do not seek fortune as a gift. They treat it as a game of power, where every move must yield advantage. The empire builder does not act to appear busy. He acts to produce control. The world mistakes his calm for arrogance, but he simply refuses to waste energy on actions that do not serve his design. The dreamer builds castles in his mind. The strategist builds foundations in the real world. The dreamer seeks motivation. The strategist seeks information. He knows that every man is driven by need, and those needs can be directed. He studies markets, people, and emotions, learning how to place himself where others' desires feed his profit. That is not cruelty. It is the architecture of power. The weak call it manipulation. The strong call it mastery. The greatest illusion is that luck creates success. Luck favors the prepared, but only the strategist prepares correctly. He sees patterns years before they become obvious. While the poor chase trends, he creates them. While others wait for perfect timing, he becomes the one who defines it. To him, wealth is not the reward of work. It is the consequence of control. He does not chase money. He positions himself where money must flow through him. So while the dreamer works harder and wonders why he remains the same, the strategist quietly rises. He builds systems that earn while he sleeps, alliances that protect while he rests, and opportunities that multiply even in his absence. His fortune is not an accident. It is a structure designed by patience, foresight, and ruthless discipline. In a world driven by chaos, he stands calm, not because he is lucky, but because he designed the storm himself. Power never belongs to the loudest voice. It belongs to the quiet hand that moves the pieces. Perception is the currency that buys both loyalty and wealth, and those who master it rule those who don't. Most people live in a constant need to prove themselves, to show the world their worth, to display success before achieving it. But the strategist knows that the appearance of power is often more valuable than power itself. Machiavelli wrote that men judge more by their eyes than by their hands, because everyone sees but few understand. Those who learn to manipulate what others see can control what they do. In the modern world, this rule governs business, politics, and influence alike. The illusion of strength often generates more profit than strength itself. The empire builder understands that people do not follow truth, they follow belief. If you can make them believe you are powerful, successful, or indispensable, they will give you the resources to make that belief real. The rich and powerful use image as a weapon. They know perception is not a mask, but a magnet. It pulls opportunities, trust, and admiration toward them. Meanwhile, those who rely only on honesty and effort are often overlooked, because the world does not reward what is hidden inside a man. It rewards what he can make others see. To control perception, one must first master silence. The weak reveal everything, their plans, their emotions, their weaknesses. The wise reveal only what serves their strategy. Mystery commands respect because uncertainty creates fear, and fear breeds obedience. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. When men cannot fully read your intentions, they are forced to respect them. The appearance of confidence, composure, and direction is enough to make others follow, even when the path itself is unclear. The strategist uses this to his advantage. He allows others to project strength onto him while he quietly builds the real foundation of power behind the scenes. In every society, image becomes reality. A man who seems powerful attracts alliances. A man who appears weak invites betrayal. A company that looks successful gains investors. A leader who projects control gains followers. The key is not to be perfect, but to appear untouchable. This is why the cunning never argue to prove their point. They frame the narrative so that doubt itself disappears. They never beg for validation because they understand that power is never requested, it is assumed. And once assumed, it becomes real in the eyes of others. The modern illusionists of wealth, entrepreneurs, influencers, leaders, follow this ancient Machiavellian law. They build brands that appear flawless, they control the way their stories are told, and they shape the emotions of their audience with precision. The poor man may see arrogance, the strategist sees engineering. Every image, every word, every silence is designed to guide perception, because perception creates belief, and belief creates wealth. While you seek to be understood, they seek to be believed. While you defend your reputation, they manufacture theirs. The weak waste time correcting opinions, the powerful create them. To rule perception is to rule reality. Machiavelli knew that the truth itself is powerless unless it serves a purpose. So the empire builder does not chase honesty for its own sake. He crafts truth like a weapon, bending it to build trust, shape minds, and build influence. In this game, it is not the one who works hardest who wins, but the one who directs attention. Power follows focus, and focus can be designed. Those who master perception don't chase opportunities, they attract them. The masses see this as luck, but luck is just the shadow of strategy. In a world blinded by image, the one who controls the mirror controls the world. The greatest mistake of the struggling man is believing that morality and money move together. He assumes that wealth rewards goodness, honesty, and hard work, yet the world has never operated by such rules. Machiavelli understood that morality is a tool, not a compass. It is a language spoken when it serves power and silenced when it does not. The empire builder understands this truth and plays it with precision. He knows that wealth does not demand purity of heart, but clarity of purpose. While others are busy proving their virtue, he studies outcomes. He bends morality to his advantage, shaping his image as noble when it profits him and ruthless when it is required. People who struggle cling to moral comfort because it gives them identity, but identity is not power. The powerful do not waste time defending their goodness. They defend their interests. Machiavelli wrote that men must either be caressed or destroyed, because small injuries breed revenge, but crushing blows eliminate threats. This is not cruelty, it is efficiency. The strategist understands that trying to please everyone is the fastest way to be controlled by everyone. He draws lines not based on ethics, but on advantage. When goodness strengthens his position, he displays it. When it weakens him, he abandons it without hesitation. The world worships morality publicly, but rewards manipulation privately. The weak cling to ideals, while the strong adapt to results. The empire builder does not lie without reason, nor does he tell the truth without intent. Every word serves a direction, every decision moves toward consolidation of control. He knows that humans are emotional creatures. They follow those who give them meaning, not those who lecture them on virtue. So he learns to speak to their desires rather than their ethics. He understands that the crowd admires goodness, but obeys confidence, and he chooses obedience over admiration every time. True Machiavellian wisdom lies in balance, not chaos. The strategist does not discard morality completely. He uses it as a disguise. Virtue, when performed convincingly, is the most effective mask for ambition. It earns trust, lowers defenses, and hides intention. A good man may fail because his honesty exposes him. A cunning man thrives because his morality is selective and controlled. He acts ethical enough to earn loyalty, but detached enough to make decisions without guilt. This flexibility is what allows him to survive where others collapse under emotional weight. The moral man seeks to be right. The strategist seeks to be effective. In a perfect world, the two would align, but in this one, they rarely do. History belongs to those who understood this and acted accordingly. Kings who played the saint in public and the serpent in private lasted longest. Corporations that appear generous while exploiting markets grow fastest. The rich know how to look noble while pursuing dominance. The poor still think virtue alone will protect them, not realizing that morality is a costume worn on stage, not armor worn in battle. Those who build empires play morality like chess pieces. They know when to display compassion to gain followers, when to appear humble to earn trust, and when to strike without hesitation. They do not confuse ethics with weakness or ruthlessness with evil. They treat both as tools for power. Machiavelli warned that a prince must learn to act against faith, mercy, and humanity when necessity requires it, because survival itself is the highest virtue. So the empire builder lives by a different code. He does not ask, "Is this right?" but rather, "Will this work?" He does not seek approval. He seeks progress. His morality bends with his ambition, shaped by circumstance, not guilt. And in the end, when his empire stands tall and the good men fade forgotten, the world calls him fortunate, never realizing that fortune favors not the righteous, but the ruthless, who learn to use righteousness as a shield. Most people fear manipulation because they misunderstand it. They think it is deception, when in truth, it is direction. Every empire ever built has been sustained not by brute force, but by the ability to guide people's emotions, choices, and loyalties. Machiavelli understood this better than any philosopher of his age. He knew that to control men, one must first understand them. The weak believe influence is earned through honesty, but the powerful know it is earned through mastery of perception. People are not led by truth. They are led by what they wish to believe. The empire builder recognizes this, and instead of resisting human nature, he uses it as a weapon. Manipulation is not evil when it creates order out of chaos. A leader who can shape emotion can shape entire nations. The cunning man studies what moves others, fear, hope, pride, and greed, and learns to use each as a lever. He does not speak to reason because reason rarely governs the human heart. He speaks to desire, and through desire, he gains control. The weak appeal to logic. The strategist appeals to feeling. When a man feels understood, he follows. When he feels inspired, he obeys. Machiavelli advised princes to appear merciful, faithful, and humane, but only when it served their purpose. The mask of virtue opens doors that truth would never unlock. Those who struggle often waste their power in emotional reaction. They speak too quickly, trust too easily, and expose their intentions too clearly. The manipulator does the opposite. He listens, observes, and waits. He never reveals his full thoughts. He lets others speak until their weaknesses emerge. Then he uses those weaknesses not with cruelty, but with precision. He knows that every person can be led if you touch the right nerve. Some follow praise, others fear, others guilt, others ambition. The skilled manipulator identifies these triggers and moves people like pieces on a board, each step serving a larger design. Control is never about domination. It is about guidance. Those who control others without them realizing it hold the truest form of power. The empire builder never shouts commands. He plants ideas. He lets people believe the choice was theirs, while the outcome was his all along. This is how kingdoms were ruled, how corporations are built, how influence spreads in silence. The weak try to convince through argument. The powerful convince through suggestion. They do not demand loyalty. They create dependence. And dependence, once established, is unbreakable. Machiavelli believed that men are ungrateful, fickle, deceitful, and greedy. Therefore, the wise ruler must assume betrayal and plan accordingly. The manipulator expects disloyalty, but turns it into a tool. He keeps his enemies close, not for forgiveness, but for observation. He praises them when needed, uses them when useful, and discards them when dangerous. This is not cruelty, it is clarity. To survive in power, one must accept that loyalty is temporary, but control can be permanent if it is psychological. The poor view manipulation as corruption because they cannot see its design. But the truth is, every form of leadership, political, social, or financial, is manipulation dressed as inspiration. The difference lies in intent. The weak manipulate for approval, the strong manipulate for stability. The empire builder does not exploit emotion recklessly. He channels it toward progress. His mastery of influence is what allows him to stay 2 steps ahead, to bend chaos into opportunity. Those who fail in life are not necessarily less intelligent, they are simply too transparent. They give away their moves before they make them. They reveal their fears before they confront them. The strategist knows that to lead others, one must never be fully known. Mystery creates gravity, and gravity pulls people closer. To influence the world, you must first understand it. And to understand it, you must accept Machiavelli's cruel truth. People are predictable. Once you see their patterns, you can shape them. And once you can shape them, their strength becomes yours. Every empire, every fortune, and every legacy has been built not only on action, but on the discipline to wait. Patience is not the absence of ambition, it is its highest form. Machiavelli knew that time itself is a weapon, one that the impulsive never learn to use. The weak chase every opportunity, blinded by urgency, while the powerful know that not every move must be made immediately. The empire builder acts when the world is ready to obey, not when his emotions demand reaction. This difference separates those who struggle from those who rise. The rich are not always smarter, they are simply more strategic with time. Impatience is the disease of the powerless. It exposes their intentions, weakens their resolve, and forces them to move before the board is ready. They mistake movement for progress, believing that doing more means achieving more. But Machiavelli would remind them that the lion who attacks too soon becomes the prey. The cunning man studies his moment. He knows that every plan requires pressure to build and that opportunities like fruit rot if taken before their season. He allows his rivals to tire themselves out, to reveal their motives, to make mistakes born from haste. Then, when their defenses weaken, he strikes with precision that seems effortless. Patience does not mean passivity. It means observation with purpose. The strategist watches the field, measuring how others act, calculating who is rising and who is falling. He is not lazy. He is deliberate. To outsiders, his stillness looks like inaction, but in truth, he is setting traps, aligning allies, and letting his enemies make their own errors. The greatest victories in history were not won by constant struggle, but by waiting for the perfect imbalance. A patient mind can see doors that an anxious one will miss. Machiavelli wrote that fortune is like a river. It floods with violence, but men who prepare their defenses beforehand suffer least. This is the essence of patience, to prepare while others rush. The poor man lives moment to moment, reacting to circumstances. The powerful one anticipates them. He understands that waiting is not weakness, it is strategy. Every pause is a calculation. Every delay a move in disguise. He does not need to chase because he has already positioned himself where fortune must eventually flow. In business, in politics, and in life, the same rule applies. Time rewards those who respect it. The impulsive spend their energy fighting battles that patience would have won for them. The strategist uses restraint as a weapon, letting others reveal themselves through desperation. While they show their hands, he hides his. While they act emotionally, he acts mathematically. His timing makes him appear almost prophetic, but it is not prophecy. It is patience weaponized. The weak think that success is about constant effort, about never stopping. But motion without aim is chaos. The empire builder works with rhythm. He knows when to advance and when to disappear. He lets anticipation build around him because anticipation is power. The man who can make others wait controls their minds. The one who waits for the right moment controls the outcome. Time bends to those who refuse to be ruled by it. Patience also demands emotional control, a quality few possess. Most people are slaves to impulse. They speak before thinking, decide before knowing, and quit before succeeding. The Machiavellian mind trains itself to detach from urgency. It watches emotion rise like a wave and waits for it to pass before deciding. That is why the powerful often seem cold. Their calm is not emptiness, it is mastery. They understand that the greatest power lies not in acting quickly, but in knowing exactly when not to act. In the end, patience is not simply a virtue. It is strategy in disguise. Empires are not built in chaos. They are built in silence, in the long moments between decisions, where the disciplined prepare, while the desperate rush. The man who can master waiting owns a power that cannot be rushed, bought, or broken. Because in a world that worships speed, the one who moves last, but moves perfectly, always wins. Power is never permanent. Every empire falls, every fortune fades, and every ruler faces rebellion. The difference between those who collapse and those who endure lies in their ability to adapt. Machiavelli understood that survival is not about strength, but flexibility. He warned that those who cling too tightly to one way of thinking, one method, or one image, eventually destroy themselves. The powerful remain powerful because they evolve faster than their enemies can understand them. The weak, in contrast, find comfort in repetition. They keep doing what once worked, blind to the fact that time has changed. Adaptation is not betrayal. It is the highest form of intelligence. The world shifts constantly, ruled by cycles of chaos and order. The strategist knows that what makes him powerful today can destroy him tomorrow if he refuses to adjust. The wise leader studies change the way a general studies the weather, always ready to alter tactics when the wind turns. He never marries an idea, he marries success. If one strategy fails, he builds another without hesitation. To him, pride in method is foolishness. He does not defend tradition, he defends results. This is why the adaptable outlast the righteous, the loud, and the stubborn. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must learn to be both the lion and the fox, the lion to frighten the wolves, and the fox to recognize the traps. Those who cannot shift between the two lose to those who can. The lion who refuses to hide will fall to the hunter, and the fox who fears to fight will starve. True power lies in balance. The empire builder understands that identity itself must be fluid. He can appear kind or ruthless, humble or dominant, moral or cunning, whatever the moment demands. He does not see these as contradictions, but as tools. To survive in power, one must learn to play roles with precision, wearing masks not to deceive, but to adapt. The weak often despise flexibility because it makes them uncomfortable. They call it hypocrisy or disloyalty, not realizing that the world rewards those who adjust, not those who complain. The rigid man dies defending his values while the adaptable man lives to shape new ones. The empire builder moves like water, shifting form, changing tone, flowing around obstacles until he finds a way through. His strength lies not in unbreakable structure but in endless motion. He listens when others talk, studies when others act, and transforms when others cling to the past. This makes him unpredictable, and unpredictability is power. Every empire faces decline, but those led by adaptable minds rebuild faster. The strategist prepares for collapse before it happens. He reads signals that others ignore, market shifts, public sentiment, the moods of allies and enemies. He understands that no power lasts unless it renews itself. So while others protect their current success, he plans its evolution. His ability to reinvent keeps him relevant while others fade into memory. Machiavelli warned that nothing is more difficult than introducing a new order of things, yet he also knew that only those who dare to reshape themselves can master the new world when it arrives. Adaptation requires humility, the willingness to accept that you do not control the world, only your response to it. The empire builder is humble enough to listen and cunning enough to act. He learns from defeat faster than his rivals recover from victory. Change does not frighten him. It feeds him. He understands that chaos is opportunity disguised, that when the old systems crumble, the flexible become architects of the new. While others panic, he evolves. In the end, survival belongs not to the strongest or the most virtuous, but to the one who shifts fastest without losing purpose. The world is a storm, and rigidity is a curse. Those who adapt bend without breaking, disappear when threatened, and return stronger when the wind changes. That is Machiavelli's final lesson. Power is not held, it is maintained, adjusted, reinvented. To build an empire is skill, but to keep it alive through change is genius. You were never meant to stay broke. You were trained to. You were taught obedience instead of strategy, humility instead of control, hope instead of calculation. They told you that working harder would save you, that being good would be enough, that time would reward your patience. But time rewards only those who command it. The rich, the powerful, the Machiavellian. They understood that money does not come to those who deserve it. It comes to those who build the structure that decides who deserves it. Everything I have said is not about greed. It is about understanding. Understanding how the world truly operates beneath its illusions of fairness. Understanding that wealth is not the fruit of chance, but the consequence of precision. Understanding that emotion is a weapon, that power precedes money, that opportunities must be forged, and that preservation is the final test. Those who master these principles do not chase success, they manufacture it. The truth is uncomfortable because it strips away the myths that keep you docile. It tells you that morality without intelligence leads to servitude, that honesty without strategy leads to poverty, and that loyalty without leverage leads to betrayal. You can hate this truth, you can ignore it, but you cannot escape it. Every empire, every dynasty, every fortune has been built on the same quiet laws of human nature. You either learn them, or you serve those who have. The Machiavellian does not apologize for winning. He does not beg to be understood. He simply observes, adapts, and dominates. He knows that power is not evil. It is essential. Because without power, even virtue is useless. To be rich in this world is not to possess money, but to command the rules that move it. That is why they rise, and you remain. But you have listened. And once you understand the mechanism, ignorance dies. You cannot return to comfort once you have seen the machinery of power. You can choose to stay the same, to keep believing that hard work alone will save you, Or you can step into the world as it truly is, armed with strategy instead of excuses. So when they ask you how the rich keep winning, how the powerful never fall, you will know. They did not pray for fortune, they designed it. They did not wait for opportunity, they created it. And if they wanted a devil, as they once called Machiavelli, then perhaps the world needs more devils who think, plan, and rise without apology. Because in the end, it is not the good who inherit the earth, it is the prepared.